In the interest of exercising our inner comic book guy, it's worth taking a look back at The Simpsons and examining some of the problematic moments that everyone, except the most nitpicky of Simpsons fans, were willing to overlook. In the Season 9 episode, Lisa the Simpson, Lisa begins to fear that her gift of intelligence is failing her.
No, I can't remember my combination. Look at my agriculture project. It's a piece of a cow.
When she complains to Abe, he tells her that every member of the Simpson family starts out smart, but then dramatically becomes dumber with age, sending Lisa into an anxious spiral as she fears she'll soon become oafish like her father and brother. When Homer realizes what his dad has done, he calls the extended family over, where they discover that the gene only affects the Simpson men. A female relative who's a doctor explains to Lisa that the defective gene is in the Y chromosome, meaning only boys get it, along with a rotund figure and a bald head. Although this makes Lisa feel better, it presents a plot hole in the form of Homer's previously introduced half-brother, Herb Powell. The product of an affair between Abe and a woman named Gabby, Herb was put up for adoption in Shelbyville. When Homer meets Herb for the first time as an adult, he's introduced as a highly successful businessman who put himself through Harvard and climbed the ranks to start his own automotive company. Herb is rich, intelligent, and successful. He's all the things that Abe's genes were supposed to go away as he got older. So the Simpson gene seemingly skipped Herb for unknown reasons. But Herb actually may not have missed the Simpson gene entirely. He was convinced to make a terrible car by his half-brother, Homer, and fell victim to short bursts of anger and clumsiness. And maybe by virtue of being adopted, some nurture helped counteract his nature. In the Season 6 episode, Lisa's Wedding, the family attends a fair where Lisa stumbles upon a fortune teller and agrees to let the woman tell her a story of her first love. For the first time in the show's history, the audience is presented with a flash forward showing a 23-year-old Lisa embarking on a whirlwind romance with a young British student named Hugh Parkfield. Their wedding ceremony in Springfield is ill-fated, after Hugh simply can't handle the oafish nature of Lisa's family. She calls off the wedding, but not before friends and family gather for the ceremony, including Maud Flanders and Edna Krabappel. Although it's the year 2010 at the time, 15 years in the future from the episode's air date, fans know that both characters met in fortunate ends while Lisa was still in second grade. Maud was famously killed by a t-shirt blast that Homer provoked at a race car event when the velocity of the blow knocked her off the top of the raceway. That sent her husband, Ned Flanders, on a journey of grief in which he tried to figure out how to move on as a single father. The episode aired in 2000, long before Lisa's future wedding would have taken place. Ned would eventually move on with Krabappel, but when the voice actress who played her, Marsha Wallace, died in 2013, the show retired her character by killing Edna off-screen. As a result, both characters would not be able to attend 23-year-old Lisa's wedding. However, Lisa's wedding is about a possible future, not an actual one. So in that alternate timeline, both characters made it to 2010. In the Season 12 episode, Homer subjects himself to medical testing after blowing the family's savings on a faulty investment. The doctors discover that Homer's complete lack of intelligence isn't biological at all, but rather the result of a crayon getting accidentally lodged into his brain after he attempted to stick an entire 16-pack up his nose as a child.
Mr. Simpson, this could be responsible for your subnormal intelligence.
Hey, I came here to be drugged, electrocuted, and probed, not insulted.
Homer's lack of intelligence was already explained through the Simpson gene as a genetic predisposition to stupidity. However, when he agrees to let doctors remove the crayon, his IQ shoots up significantly. The intelligence that Homer gains endears him to Lisa, but makes him a villain. Realizing that he can't handle the burden, Homer enlists the help of unlicensed surgeon Moe the bartender to insert a crayon back into his brain. Lisa briefly protests, but is subdued by a letter left behind by the intelligent version of her father. However, Marge and Bart never seem reacting to his elective brain damage, and he now lives as an unintelligent burden on the rest of them. No one does a sensible thing and implores him to consider the long-term effects. Every moment of Homer's stupidity from that moment forward is not the charming oafishness of a cartoon character, but the choice of a selfish man with self-induced brain damage. Because The Simpsons has been on for 30 years without aging any of its characters, it's hard to pin down the time frame in which major events happened. The show typically only calls it out when it's played for comedy.
Cartoons don't have any deep meaning, they're just stupid drawings that give you a cheap laugh.
But all bets are off when it comes to the timeline of Marge and Homer's relationship. In 3 key episodes, it's revealed that Marge and Homer's courtship lasted through the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s. In the Season 2 episode, The Way We Was, it's revealed that Homer and Marge met in 1974 while they were both attending Springfield High School. 1 season later, while telling the story of how Bart was born, it is implied that they conceived him after watching The Empire Strikes Back, which hit theaters in 1980. The two married while Marge was pregnant. However, in the Season 19 episode That 90s Show, Homer and Marge tell their kids of how they briefly separated in the early 90s, still before Bart was born and they were married. In that time, Homer invented grunge music while Marge pursued a romance with a college professor, which would mean she was attending college more than a decade after graduating high school. All of that goes out the window in the Season 29 episode 3 Scenes Plus a Tag from a Marriage, when Homer and Marge reveal that Bart was born while they were living in Capital City in the early 2000s. When talking plot holes in The Simpsons, you really can't miss the reality-busting Season 9 episode, The Principal and the Pauper. In this episode, it's revealed that Seymour Skinner was actually an imposter named Armin Tamzarian. When Armin got in trouble with the law while living as a street punk in Capital City, he was forced into the army, where he met the real Skinner. After Skinner was presumably killed in action, Tamzarian went to Springfield to break the news to his mother, only to be mistaken for his mentor. Unable to break the bad news, he lived as Skinner for the next 20 years. The episode ends with the town allowing Tamzarian to continue as principal and agreeing to never speak of it again. But there's evidence that the man who says he's Tamzarian is irrefutably Skinner. In the Season 3 episode Bart's Friend Falls in Love, it's revealed that Seymour spent 18 months as a prisoner of war. And the Season 7 episode Raging Abe Simpson and his grumbling grandson in The Curse of the Flying Hellfish, it's revealed that Skinner's grandfather, Sheldon Skinner, was in Abe Simpson's platoon in World War II. When Sheldon is shown in a flashback, he appears to be an unmistakable relative of the man who stole the Skinner identity. At one point in the series, it's revealed that Homer grew up on a farm off of rural Route 9. In subsequent episodes, the family used to produce dairy until Homer spooked all the cows one day as a child and they stopped producing milk and the rest of the land wouldn't grow anything. After they have a fight in Season 6, Homer and Abe accidentally burn the house down completely. They even embrace on the porch after an argument as the rest of the farmhouse turns to rubble behind them. But the old Simpson farm apparently doesn't stay burned down. In the Season 11 episode E.I.E.I.D.O., Homer becomes obsessed with challenging people to duels. When he brazenly challenges a southern duelist, Homer makes a quick escape and brings his family to his old farmhouse, which is miraculously still standing with no explanation whatsoever. The episode simply continues on and sees Homer invent the refreshingly addictive tobacco crop that sprouted as tomatoes without ever letting the audience in on what happened with the fire. The prevailing theory to explain the reappearing Simpson farm is that the episodes actually happened out of order, and that the farm would still be standing while Homer prepares for his duel in the later episode. In the Season 6 episode, Fear of Flying, the Simpsons family earn themselves a free trip anywhere in the continental United States in exchange for their silence about Homer's gross incompetence while impersonating a pilot. They're thrilled, except for Marge, who freaks out before takeoff, revealing a lifelong fear of flying.
Let me off, 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 let me off.
Marge then goes through therapy, where it's revealed that she was disappointed in her father at a young age after figuring out that he was a male flight attendant and not a pilot like she thought. She also had repressed memories of being poked in the eye while being fed by the airplane as a baby and a toy ride-on airplane blowing up, as well as a memory of being shot at in a cornfield by a low-flying plane. In the end, Marge is able to get back on the plane, but it overshoots the runway and lands in the water. However, what makes this a glaring plot hole is the fact that Marge flew without incident in the Season 3 episode, Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington. Not only does Marge accompany the family on a flight, but their particular flight was likely triggering for anyone with a fear of flying. Bart made his way to the cockpit and released everyone's oxygen masks as a prank. All the same, Marge handles the flight well. She's still over her fear later in Season 6, when the entire family travels to Australia. But this could be explained that the episodes are again out of order, and Marge being over her fear in the later episodes means therapy worked and stayed with her. In the Season 11 episode, Kill the Alligator and Run, the Simpson family inadvertently takes a trip to Florida during spring break. Homer gets wrapped up in the celebration and ends up accidentally running over the local community's mascot, an alligator named Captain Jack. The law shows up and the family is allowed to leave the state, provided that they never return. The episode ends with the Simpsons crossing Florida off a map of states they've been banned from re-entering. But their expulsion from Florida apparently doesn't last forever. In the Season 14 episode, Special Edna, the family accompanies accompanies Bart's teacher to Orlando after he nominates her for a Teacher of the Year award, and she subsequently wins. The family travels to and from the fictional Epcot Center without incident. And in the season 15 episode Catch 'Em If You Can, Homer and Marge make the hasty decision to go on a second honeymoon to Miami, prompting Bart and Lisa to come, accompanied by Abe. This certainly calls the end of their spring break adventure into question, as it was either based completely on lies or simply unenforced by the states. But the show, known for its satire, may be calling the state of Florida out for comedy's sake. It simply wouldn't be a good show if Homer Simpson wasn't able to try out one-off career opportunities every chance he gets. It does pose certain logistical problems for him, the family, and the show's sense of continuity. The series poked fun at this plot hole in the season 13 episode Papa's Got a Brand New Badge, where Homer takes up a job as a private security business that is eventually granted full policing powers over Springfield. As Marge does her nightly hair routine, Homer discusses his many occupations.
Boxer, mascot, astronaut, imitation Krusty, baby proofer, trucker, hippie, plow driver, food critic, conceptual artist, grease salesman, carny, mayor, grifter.
And he goes on, listing many more. Which raises the question, how has Homer quit his power plant job and subsequently returned so many times throughout the years? It could be theorized that Homer is simply bad at his job, and so low on the corporate ladder that no one notices his prolonged absences.
Cartoons don't have to be 100% realistic.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.